Remember a few years back, we were close to a recession. The one thing that kept us out of a recession is in a particular period of economic analysis, agriculture kept its end up. The NFF, the National Farmers Federation, though, are worried that Labor's mandatory climate reporting regime will be an absolute disaster for farmers. That's their comment today. This scheme will force farms to disclose their climate impacts. Now, the worry for farmers is they'll also be forced to include indirect emissions. So this is emissions not generated on the farm, but all the way along the supply chain as you get the beef or the horticultural product, all the way to the supermarket and on the shelves. Now, the Coalition is calling for farmers to be given an exemption amid fears this regime could impact their productivity and their survival. Joining me now, the Australian's Environment Editor, Graham Lloyd. Now, it's bad for farmers, means it's bad for all of us if it's bad for farmers, not just, at the shop, store, a grocery sort of end, Graham, but also obviously at the broader budget end. But this all goes back to Scope 3 reporting requirements. Now, I'm not 100% sure everyone really understands how they work, how deadly they are, I guess, for something like the farming sector. Explain to us what Scope 3 means in the case of agriculture.
Well, good evening, Peter. As always, the devil is in the detail, and in this mandatory reporting, that detail is the Scope 3 emissions. These are emissions that are caused by all the companies and operations in the supply chain to a company, and all the companies that use the products that that company makes. So the practical impact is, while in a headline sense this new regime is being rolled out to cover only the biggest companies in the economy, the practical impact is that those companies will lean on everyone in their supply chain to keep their own accounts and report their emissions. The concern within the agricultural lobby is this is just another welter of green tape, if you like, and a requirement to keep records and submit to the bureaucracy, and they say they're drowning in it.
The NFF today said this is an absolute disaster, their words, for farmers. Now, how true is that statement?
Well, I think certainly for the smaller farmers, this is likely to be one impost too many. What you're seeing really with the entire architecture of carbon reporting and what have you is that it suits the big end of town, the superannuation funds that administer trillions of dollars, the big banks, the big corporations. They can all pass the costs on to someone else, and at a sort of farm level and a family farm level, it's just very difficult to participate.
Look, we've always known, once they hit electricity, and they have, once they hit transport, we can already see what's happening in relation to the car types we drive. Agriculture is always next to come under fire. But short of culling, methane emitting ruminant animals, short of culling herds, there's not a lot we can do other than shut down our farmers. Now, we can see what's happening overseas, particularly in Europe. Farmers are taking to the streets. I mean, you watch carefully what's happening overseas. This is a huge issue, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, and I think the farming community through Europe, particularly in places like France, has always been very vocal, but they've been outraged over recent months about the imposts of the sort of climate policies that are being put on them, and they've blocked the streets, they've clogged the cities, and they've got a bit of a result from the political class, which has sort of woken up and said, well, we really need to pull things back. And the issue is it's very ideological. People will talk about a meat-free diet because it might be their preference and they want to push it onto other people. But when it comes to Scope 3 and other things, it's all about the fertilisers. It's all about the inputs that are very, very difficult to mitigate or produce in a carbon-free way, and they're only going to add to the cost of production. And it remains to be seen how those costs can be recovered.
Graham Lloyd, thank you as always. Tell you, we're all starting to wake up, aren't we? We're absolutely starting to wake up to this.